enter the world of the R&B Representers. We are naturally Alise and
JR.
That's him. And we would like to welcome my very good friend, like for real friends, Keith Murphy. Keith.
Oh, hello.
Keith is a Chicago native. He is a journalist, investigative reporter, author, editor, television commentator. You've probably seen him on the pages of Vibe, Esquire, the New York Post, Billboard, ESPN's The Undefeated, Source Magazine, and many, many, many others.
Run it.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank
you. The check's in the mail, Alise.
Run them coins. He has been a frequent guest on CNN, VH1, A&E Biography, Fox News. He's delivered commentary for the award-winning TV One music documentary series Unsung, one of our favorites, featuring West Coast reality rap king and television star Ice-T. He is a prolific storyteller and an analyst of all things entertainment, politics, and beyond.
Wow, you're gonna make me blush.
I can't even begin to do him justice. And there's a quote of his that I love. There's always the next story. That's the beauty of the craft. Welcome.
Ooh. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm fans of you guys. You guys make me laugh. You guys make me cry. You make me think. And when I mean cry, I'm talking about cry with laughter. So y'all hilarious. No?
I mean, cry because I feel sorry for JR, but that's okay too.
Don't do that.
The Johnny Gill continuation is just hilarious. Like every time she does the whole Johnny Gill spiel, I just
oh my God, I'll be like, girl.
I just fall out. It's too much. Too much.
You know, we love our Johnny. Well, what we're going to do today, we decided to start this interview series because we wanted to add another element to interviews, because a lot of time when people interview artists or journalists or other people involved in the music industry, they kind of ask the same questions over and over and never kind
of basically
never kind of dig in to like kind of what makes the person outside of their personal business, you know?
Right, we ain't gotta ask that. I don't know why they be asking that. You gave them an intro, so what we need to ask all that for?
Basically.
And so us being music heads, we want to learn about you and our other guests through the music you love or the music that you experienced in your career and learn about you that way. Because I think you can tell a lot of a person by how they look at certain music or how that music affected them. So, and on that note, that's why we wanted to talk to you about the 90s R&B.
Wow.
Yes.
You know, we felt you had a unique view because anytime JR tell me to watch something I'm on, I'd be like, wow, I was there.
Right.
Cute. Real cute.
Right.
You got the inside loop, and your opinions are going to matter more to me than someone who had no parts of that world.
Absolutely. I'll be loving when Keith be on Twitter and he goes in on people, and I love how he be like, check your facts, and I'll be like. He don't even be talking about maybe R&B. He might be talking about rock. I'll be like he just read them. So I like it. I'm here for it.
Thank you so much, JR. That's kind words.
Say one more thing that I really love about Keith is the music that he loves and knows about and cares about. It's all over the place. It's not just R&B and hip hop. It's rock, it's jazz. It's like he on it.
Yeah, I try to be, man. I try to be well-rounded. I got that from my cousin back in Chicago. You know, he was a big Cars fan. He loved the Police. He loved Rush. You know, I got into a lot of that new wave stuff, and you know, when I was a kid, like 10, 9 years old, listening to a lot of different type of music. But you know, also I was listening to Rick James. I was listening to Cameo. I was listening to, of course, Prince and Michael. You know, and then of course, you know, Public Enemy, Run DMC, De La Soul. Like I was all over the place, man.
The music guru, I'm telling you.
I try
You're
to
the
be.
music guru. I vouch to you because a lot of people like to call that to me and Alise when we go on different stuff. They be like, y'all the music guru. I'm like, no, we're not. Like, not at all. And just this intro she just gave you, I ain't even on your level. So
oh, please.
No.
Please. You got
take that key. Take it.
Okay, I'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you.
He likes to call other people famous. He does it to me. That's what he does.
You guys are famous.
Crazy. You guys are crazy. I love it though. I love it. So yeah, let's get it on and popping.
Yes.
Oh,
so you know, you did an article in your Vibe magazine, and you did one. I don't know when it was published, but you talked about kind of the last year, kind of R&B had its reign, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was a dope article. Like it was dope. You know what I mean? And I want to ask you, because you kind of said that was the last year R&B kind of had its last kind of thing.
Yeah, it was dominant.
Yeah. So do you think it was like hip hop soul that really was kind of the end of the R&B reign? Because once Mary came in and had that hip hop swag, it was kind of easier for like Snoop and them to really have a audience. Do you feel that way?
I think what happened, it was a marriage of convenience. You know, I think you had to the point where R&B was just killing it. Like there was a point where it was like 7 R&B songs, 7 songs that, you know, some songs that might be R&B influenced that were on a pop charts, pop singles. Mm-hmm. Like when you look at it, you can't believe that Silk was in the top 10. You can't believe that H-Town was in the top 10. SWV had 2 songs in the top 10. You know, Janet Jackson was killing it. You know, so all this was going on. Radio was the issue. See, radio would play R&B and say, you know what, we're not gonna fuck with that hip hop stuff. We're gonna leave that alone.
Right.
And hip hop started creeping in on the playlist, started playing, but it wasn't really until these artists started to say, you know what, let me try to get on this DJ Premier beat. Let me try to flip this break beat. Let me try to sing over this. Let me try to, and radio. It infiltrated radio to the point where radio was food. Radio didn't really know what they were playing. Now, radio did not know that Audio 2 was in the background of Real Love, right? Like they had no idea what was going on. Like this was like some really sneaky shit going on, right? So when that started to happen, the hip hop folks was like, you know, all the hip hop heads was like, okay, I like this music too. You know, let me start collaborating more with these artists. Let me start getting Mary J and Biggie on the same track. Let's Mariah Carey, the pop siren, says, you know, I want some of that too. Let me get with ODB, you know, for my single. So it almost became R&B was the king of the hill until hip hop said, we want a taste of that. We want a taste of the money you're making. We want a taste of the tours that you're on. We want a taste of that culture. I think the thing that really solidified it was the Uptown Unplugged album and special that came on. That's kind of what was the barometer of what was about to happen. Like people didn't really know what was about to go down. That came out in like 1992, I think late 92. But when that happened and you started to see Father MC rapping over these R&B type of stuff, and you know Jodeci's killing it, but they look thugged out, right? They thugged out, combat boots, all this, but they're singing like that. You know, they're like just got saved, right? And then you have Mary J, thugged out, Roundaway Girl, and she's like singing Shaka Khan covers. So I think that's what really started to happen. It was almost like R&B artists. They were on top of the world, and then hip hop came, and it was like, you know what? we got to have a little piece of that hip hop with us too.
But do you think, because with that being said, and I think me and Alise talk about this a lot, when people, during that time we had our, Mary and Jodeci and SWV and all of them, but we also had like the Luther and, Anita and all of them was still getting their R&B hits and maybe getting top 40. But it seems like after like 93, like you said, everything changed.
But the adult contemporary thing started to happen where you had Patti LaBelle, you had Luther, you had Anita still, making records. And they would, it went from them having a Black division at their label to the Black division just being done. There's a great book called The Death of Rhythm and Blues by Nelson George.
Yes, I love that book.
And that book basically details, when he says the death of rhythm and blues, he's not talking about the sound, because 80s R&B was Black as hell. There was a lot of crossover stuff going on too. But you had the Jerry Curl funk going on. You had Zap. You had Midnight. You had Atlantic. I call them the stars, the star groups: Midnight Star, Atlantic Star, Star Point. Like all of these, like blacker than black.
Real.
Jerry Curl coming out with, these little crazy ass costumes on.
They looked a mess.
It looked a mess, but it was like Black as hell, and even Prince, he would do his rock stuff, but he had to put out an Erotic City. Michael had to put out a Librarian Girl. Like people know Cameo was it. Cameo, Rick James. So the Black divisions just died, right? So once the Black divisions died, a lot of the labels did not know what to do with these heritage, old school, OG Black acts. So they would try to get them to make Celine Dion type songs, like Patty would do, with the, if I asked you to, right? And they would they were almost like soldiers without a country, at that point.
And that's what I was going to go to. But go ahead, sis.
That I remember about that time. So you had your Black stations, and for years they were playing traditional R&B, and then when 93 and all that came along and the hip hop started going, I know here in North Carolina there was two stations. We had two Black stations in my city, and one of them became adult contemporary. And they were like, we're playing no hip hop, no anything. So the old, so that's what my mom listened to and stuff, because the timing for her, she wasn't into hip hop. It just came.
Right. It came like a blur to her, right?
Yeah. So that's what we listened. And then you still had the other station that was still, they slowly stopped playing any R&B to where they became almost all hip hop stations. Like the most R&B that they were going to play.
Yes.
Mary, and Jodeci image gave them, a cred
to do it. And I hate to say his name because he's been banished from our whole thing, but R. Kelly played a huge role in that. Now we all know what ended up happening with him, and he's a disgusting individual, and he deserves what he's getting right now. Yeah. But at that time, you have to understand that he was like trying to be the male version of Mary. And he was the male version of Mary. And he was doing that. But he was very over the top with it, And this is where the hip hop thing comes from, because, we could talk about how, R&B has always been kind of suggestive, sexually suggestive, because it has, Marvin Gaye was out here wilding on some of those songs. Let's be real about that. Millie Jackson was not for the kids.
Not at all.
So we can't say that all of a sudden, they got nasty.
Right.
But hip hop came along, and the R&B artists was like, yo, we got to compete with NWA. We got to compete with Dr. Dre. We got to compete with Snoop. So the dirtier, the better. And that's when everything the floodgates just open.
Yeah, because during that time, I think yes, like you said, R&B always had a nasty because it's love and sex songs. So of course, it's
Right.
a certain amount of that. However, when that hip hop came and they were trying to compete with those rappers, the raunchiness and the sexuality became pervasive. It was in everything.
Yes.
Artists didn't even make sense for it, and they were doing it. So,
yeah.
Do we blame a lot of the A&Rs and all that though?
Yeah, I do. I blame the A&Rs because the A&Rs wanted an easy way to success. Okay. They they didn't want to get boxed in to the adult R&B and adult contemporary that was starting to come up a little bit. They didn't want to get their artists like, you see an artist like Boyz II Men, and they played every field. You know, they could be pop, they could be R&B, they could be adult contemporary, right?
Right.
But that was the exception. You know, if you came out on some really, really traditional R&B, 5 times out of 10, they were going to throw you into that, you know, easy listening thing that started to pop up. So the A&R people were like, man, we want to be cutting edge. You know, we want the kids to like us. We want to the arrival of SoundScan changed everything, basically. It's like overnight, you can see how many records people were selling, right? Master P comes out, changes everything because people started to respect him because he started getting SoundScan numbers, 500,000, 400,000 first week sales. So A&R is looking at that and it's like, well, we can try to do that too with some R&B artists. You know, we can do that with Jodeci. We can do that with Mary. You know, we can do that with Toni Braxton, who was like kind of like the other side to Boyz II Men, where she played all the different roles too. She can do the R&B, do the pop, do the adult contemporary. So yeah, the A&R people, they got kind of lazy with it. You know, they got kind of lazy with it, and they wanted to get the instant gratification.
Yeah, because when I read and you was talking about Gerald Busby.
Yes.
And when you talked about him, and I was just like, do you think we need, especially now, because you know how R&B is now, like at the bottom of the totem pole, like for real.
Right.
And I'm like, do you think somebody like a Gerald Busby is needed, or will we ever kind of get back to where it was back in '93? Will we get there again?
I think it's going to be like how it was when jazz started to really open up with a lot of jazz fusion. And then you would see traditional jazz artists here and there still make their music and make their stand. I don't think we're ever going to see a Gerald Busby again, because Gerald Busby was still working within the system, and the system wanted him there. The system does not want a Gerald Busby there anymore. The system wants kind of like an assembly line type of R&B. Now, once I say this, there's some good R&B out there. The problem is that, you know, for every Ari Lennox, for every, you know, one of that, you know, girls that could still blow and she's singing on some real soulful stuff, there's a lot of R&B that is taking the cadence, the rhythmic cadence of hip hop. They're rhyming every verse, and they're singing as if it is a hip hop verse. Now, this would be cool if you could sing, but a lot of them can't sing. That's the issue. Now, there's people that can sing. I'm not one of them old dudes on the lawn talking about what people can't do. There's some good R&B out there, man. And even the people that they be like, oh, you just whispering, you know, a lot of that shit is just mood music too. People, you know, this is their romantic music. So if you think of it in that frame, then you can understand some of the laid back stuff that goes on. But no church, no blues, and hip hop. That's what R&B is now. It's an amalgamation of all of that.
Damn, that hurts. Like, just to hear that, you know what I'm saying? Like, just to hear that from you. Like, to be honest, because that was my real question, what I really want to ask. Because I'm like, I always try to stay like me and Alise try to fight to get R&B seen, and you know what I mean? And then for you to say like, this is what it is now.
Right.
So it's like we gotta kind of accept it in a way. And I ain't trying to accept that shit. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like what you just said, it's just true. And it sucks. Like it really sucks. Like,
wow.
And a lot that has to do with it is the way we consume music is different now.
Yes.
And the ease of somebody to be able to make a record and put it right out. They can make this horrible thing or something that's just vibes, as the kids say, just vibes, and put it. Mm-hmm. I could go sing it, go in my bathroom and sing it now and put it, and it'd be out tomorrow on iTunes. You know?
Right,
and
right.
Before there was people don't even be mixing their stuff anymore. It'd be sounding horrible. Like,
right.
It's not mastered or any of that. So anybody can make a record. There's no process. There's no vetting. There's no development. So that changed.
Yeah, there's no gatekeeper.
Music as a whole. That's not just an R&B thing. That's a
That's an everybody thing. But see, I see. My thing is, you got to fish for the great stuff or the good stuff, right? And even for the artists that you don't really particularly like. I'm not a big Khalid fan. What's the brother from Texas? The big brother. That's an R&B singer. Can we just talk?
Oh, you talking about Khalid?
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of his.
Neither am I.
But that's a good song. Can we
good.
just talk is a good song. That's a song that would have been. That's a song that would have been on a 90's R&B station.
It would have.
Now he might not have all of the chops. He might sound like a blue-eyed soul English singer sometimes, because that's what he sounds like. He sounds like he's from like England and he's white and he's trying to do R&B and he's not George Michael. That's how he kind of sounds. But there's some stuff out there that you can like listen to and be like, okay, yeah, you know what? I get it. I get what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. But it really just comes down to times. And like Alise said, it comes down to people being able to put the music out when they want to, no A&R development. But really, it's just about the times, man. These kids is like, I want to put this music out now. I want to bare my soul out here to these people. I want to talk about the heartbreak I'm going through. I want to talk about, the scandal happening around me. I want to talk about how I don't trust people around me. Like, it's a different type of vibe now. So as a writer, I have to open myself up to it and really understand it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We do, like, even as with music, because I'm doing a music show and just for my own personal thing, I listen to stuff that before I go into it, I know I ain't gonna like it, but I still go into it an open mind. I listen to it, whatever. And usually I'm right, but every now and then something will be like, okay, I get it, And I also think.
How often?
I said every once in a while.
Every once in a while. I think Ari Lennox is the real deal. I think she's going to be around for a while. I
like her.
Yeah, I think that there's a few people like that. Leon Bridges, a few people like that are kind of like, when you hear them, you can say, okay, yeah, like these cats, these chicks, they understand it, they still get it. You hear it in their voice that there's like a substance to their voice. Like I said, I think the problem it's the timing, and it's church too. I mean, I hate to say it, even if you're not the most religious person in the world, most of that anguish in that soul came from the church, or it came from the blues clubs. So if you cut out the blues, then you cut out the church, then what you have left is kids who are influenced by hip hop. And that's the prism that they're running through, is hip hop, not R&B. The R&B is on top of the hip hop. The hip hop is the soul of their music. It's not church and it's not blues. It's hip hop. So that's why what you're hearing, you really can't really get used to it, because it's a totally different vibe happening right
now. It's R&H now, rhythm and hip hop.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's hip hop and rhythm.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it is. Because it's kind of like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? In this case, hip hop is the foundation of it now.
Yeah.
It's not even like, sometimes it's not even rhythm. Sometimes it's like, they're just singing over some ambient, weird chord thing. And then the beat drops out of nowhere. Like it's, Drake is one of the, like, if you want to, like, these people want to blame people. I blame this person. I blame that person. If you want to be the cynical person that blames somebody, you blame Drake. Drake is the guy. He's the reason why all of this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Kanye. Kanye's like counter low. He's one of the reasons too.
See, how JR was staring at you. He was waiting to see what you was gonna say. He was like,
I know. He was like, "What you gonna say? What you gonna say?"
I did good not.
Thank you for keeping them in suspense. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I was just looking like, where keep going with this? Like, I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, I hope he don't say somebody that's gonna hurt my feelings, but I should have known. Like Drake, I always go for him because everybody wants to be him.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. That's they still his cadence. Like, R&B and hip hop has always had a marriage. He wasn't the first to do it. He wasn't the first to sing over songs.
Right.
But he was the first to say, I'm gonna make a song that could get played on an adult contemporary station. There's like a Drake song that just crossed over, and he's not even rapping on it. The first time he did that, I'm feeling it. Yeah. That song changed everything. Because once that came out, all those rappers were like, "Oh my God, this dude is making an R&B song. This has nothing to do with rap."
They played Hotline Bling on adult contemporary.
They really did. I was like, what is going on?
It came on. My mama said,
"What your mom say? What is this?"
She said, "That ain't no singing."
Leave it to our elder Black women to call it what it is. Yeah. But that's what happened, man. That's what happened. It changed everything. Everybody's singing in the rhythmic cadence of what Drake kind of set down the foundation of. Like, they're singing in that cadence. They're singing in that style. The rappers are doing that now. It's really interesting what's going on.
So because with Drake being who he is, and our top people that we know, like the Beyoncés and them and all them, what about if they actually try to come out with something that very R&B is? Because you said now we at hip hop and rhythm. It ain't even blues no more. Right. But what if they come back and try to do? You think that can kind of change it?
Well, I think Beyonce can do whatever she wants to do, and I think she has done the traditional R&B thing and snuck it in. She's done some stuff that does not fit what the scene calls for, because she's Beyonce. She can get away with it, but that's few and far between. It's not a lot of artists that can come out with Love on Top, which is like unabashedly feel good wedding R&B music. It's not even, she's not even trying to hide it.
It's like an Alise song. Like when it come on, I just knew Al Jarreau was gonna start singing. I'm like, oh
yeah. It's that type of song. It's like the happy-go-lucky, just the two of us, Al Jarreau smiling R&B song that you would play at your wedding. And she did that on purpose. But not a lot of people followed it because it's hard to do.
Yeah.
And she said, and I think a lot of people say, because I love 4. That is my favorite Beyonce album, to be honest. Because I think she went back. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't you dare do that, Miss Self-Titled. But I think she wanted to do what felt right. And I think people didn't really horn in on it. So she was like, all right, well, you know what? They didn't enjoy it.
Right.
You know what? I'm going to go on and do this Drunken Love. And
right. And I'm going to do this trap R&B shit. And y'all going to like that. But y'all not going to like the other stuff.
That hurts, yo. Like, this really hurts to really hear from the music guru, who I'm calling you. You gotta accept it, Keith. But okay. I'm calling it, and just to hear that, yo, we will never get really back to what it was. Because I always felt like if we get our executives that love the music like us and know the soul like us, and we can maybe get the groups, because I was telling Alise, I was like, I felt like groups was kind of like our backbone when it came to R&B for real.
Yes,
I really felt that way. And now we don't even have that anymore. Like, it's like the last show I think I can think of is what, Day 26?
Right.
And that was 2008. I'm like, we don't even got groups no more. We don't, none of that. So it's like, what do? You know what I'm saying?
It's tough. It's tough out here. It's tough out here for, if you're a traditional R&B act, it is very tough out here. And it's even tougher when you see British acts doing R&B
and that's what
and killing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I always say, and not just British acts, because on the low, Bruno Mars made one of the blackest albums of the past 20 years.
Yep.
With the 24 karat joint.
Yep.
That album was black as fuck. Okay?
Yeah.
That was
People
like,
don't want to admit it, but it was very black. Very black.
That was some New Jack Swing era, synths, all that shit. That shit's black. Yeah. Now, I always challenge people. What would have happened if Usher would have made that album? Would have had Broken? Would it have done well? And I don't think it would have done as well.
Quiet as it's kept, I don't think Usher probably even wanted to make an album like that. Because I think Usher tried to follow trends after Confessions to me.
Right. I could see that.
You know what I mean? So I'm thinking Bruno really loves our music. That's why he was like, yo, I love Jimmy Jam. I love, Babyface. I love them. So for him to make an album like that, it made sense to me. That's why I didn't understand why people had all this drama about him making, and he's a culture appropriator and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, do y'all really know Bruno? Like,
I never brought it to the whole culture vulture thing. What you was about to say, Alise?
And for them to say that he may not be black, but the other young kids, you ask them, they'll have a song that's a sample. That's a big hit, and they don't even know what the sample is of their own song. At least
Tory Lanez.
Yep.
He knows about, like, if you would have asked him a question, he would be able to expound on it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And a lot of the young black artists, they just don't have that. And I would be like, if I was an artist, even if I didn't care, I would learn the history just to have one up scene to be like, well, I know, Even
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a strange scene right now. It's like a lot of the British acts are doing this Euro disco funk thing now that's happening. Don't call now. Don't like, that's like on some Euro disco funk type stuff going on, right? Mm-hmm. So you got a lot of those acts are doing that. And then on our side of the pond, you have a lot of us doing kind of like the atmospheric, tortured heart songwriting, You Did Me Wrong, times 100. And the music is like moody. It's not really that soulful, but it's really moody. It's very atmospheric. And then you have, like a Ari Lennox who's like, can do kind of like a hybrid of like, very soulful music, R&B type music, but still kind of have like a hip hop beat to it. Yeah. So it's really, really, really interesting. And then you got, people just full blown R&B. Like I'm still doing like Jasmine Sullivan. I'm still doing what I want to do. Y'all not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. Like she's on some marauding, last of the Marauders type shit. Sullivan is like, she's nuts. And I like her.
She's amazing. Isn't she, Alise?
Yeah, I like her. Alise doesn't like Jasmine, huh?
I do think she's amazing, but I personally am not a fan of her voice and stylings, but I get it. I think she can sing. And there's I found a few songs that I like. It's a lot of great singers that I don't necessarily like their voice doesn't do it for me, but I think she's hella talented. I just do. But I'll listen to a song or two, but she's somebody I'm not going to sit and listen to a whole album. But I say that about a lot of people, about people that I love that are legends. That I'm like,
you ain't lying.
I'm like, now will I throw a Jasmine Sullivan song on a playlist? Heck yeah. But me personally, I'm not going to listen to a whole album. I'm just not.
Right.
You better explain your case about Jasmine.
Yeah, because Jasmine to come at you, that crazy woman to come at you.
We'll talk about that on another show.
Yeah. Y'all are funny.
Oh, man. Oh, okay. So when we talking about groups, this is what I want to ask you, Keith. So me and Alise have done this so many times, and Alise has gone off on the radio show. She's gone off on people on live. What do you feel about the Boys the Men versus Jodeci? How do you feel about that whole thing? Who was better? Who wasn't? Who can really sing? Who couldn't? Like, what do you feel about that whole thing?
Well, they both could sing their asses off, but they just came from two different places. I think the thing, I've always been a critic of Boys to Men.
Right.
In that sometimes they use their powers for evil. Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And those sometimes were massive hits. But when you listen to them, sometimes it sounded like they made music for like a prom in Idaho somewhere. That's what it kind of sounded like. Now, I do not subscribe to people trying to diminish their talent.
Right.
Those dudes could sing their asses off. Like, I'm talking about sing, like old school, like they could sing against most groups. I think the reason why people held Jodeci close to their hearts is because they were just black as hell.
Yeah.
And so black that the older hip hop fans, R&B fans, people that wouldn't even listen to hip hop or R&B that came out during that time, when a Jodeci record come on, somebody that was, let's say it's 1993, 94, Jodeci comes on. Somebody that was maybe 40 years old would hear a Jodeci song and say, that's singing,
Mm-hmm.
Them boys can sing. They don't sound like all them other people. That's what you always get. You would get that with Boys and Men too. You have, they can sing, right? But sometimes, like I said, I think their producers led them to the wrong direction sometimes because they got a taste of the, going diamond and all of that stuff and selling all those albums, and it just got addictive to them to the point where they just started sounding like the same song.
Do you think that outside of the talent, do you think a lot of people hold Jodeci close to their hearts because of their image, and they had the hip hop image, and that attached that? Because I think a lot of the Jodeci songs, the ballads, they're sappy too. But people felt in the moment, felt a different way about them because of the imaging.
I think they got sappy when the brothers started making songs together, and then they tried to transfer that over to Jodeci. See, I think it wasn't so much the image that people held dear because everybody was looking like that. Everybody was dressed like that. I mean, you had SWV with combat boots on, singing. So,
right.
So it's like, that was just a style. Everybody dressed like that. But I think they looked at them as church niggas on some, these dudes is from the church. Like, these dudes are from the saved Pentecostal church. Like, from the, you got to go to church every day church. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So people looked at that and was like, they're legit. There's not like, because you got to understand, everybody else that came from their generation, they didn't wear that on their sleeve like that. They could still sing, But it wasn't like you could picture them like at some church somewhere every day. I could picture the Haley brothers at church every day because they were probably forced to go to church every day. And they probably loved it too. And they did love it because I did stories about them, about being church. They're church boys. That's what they were. Mm-hmm. So I think people saw that. They saw the blues. They saw the raspiness. They saw, and they also saw the counterculture thing going on with the band too. They actually acted like a rock band.
Right.
And that drew people in too. I think Boyz II Men, as much criticism as I give them, because I do give them criticism, I think they take a lot of unnecessary hits sometimes. I agree. Sometimes they take a lot of and I've been guilty of being a part of that.
And that I always go off about is if you put them albums up against each other.
Sure, we already know who winning.
Times where Boyz II Men kind of play pop, kind of sappy thing. Them albums are still way better. They're complete. They're cohesive. People love My Lady, but you only listen to side A. Side B is horrible. It was horrible to me back then. I never flipped that tape.
Wow.
I flipped it one time, and that's it.
See, I think you're onto something with that. But I think what you're hearing, you're not so much hearing one band making better music than the other band. What you're hearing is one band being better produced. Like they were more Boyz II Men was a well-produced band.
Absolutely.
Well-produced vocal group. Yep. When I mean well-produced, they had people like, Babyface and all these people doing it. Now what's funny with all this is that if you always wanted to wonder what, Jodeci, how would Jodeci sound with Babyface producing them? Then we heard it. We heard it on the one of the 5 Heartbeat songs that came from that album. Not the 5 Heartbeats. Remember that there was a song where Casey and JoJo were on the same band same song from the two guys from After 7.
Oh, Milestone. Yes.
Milestone. Okay.
I care for you. Yes.
I care for you.
About you. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That is a Babyface produced song, right? So you're listening to it, and you've always wondered, and that's why it sounds so good. You're like, well, God, like what would have happened if he would have got his hands on Jodeci just for like a few songs? Like, what would he would have been able to do with them?
Right.
And I think it would have worked. So yeah, I think it was the production values that got Boyz II Men, album-wise over that.
Yeah, because to me, I'm like, as much as we know that Jodeci are the church boys, they are the church dudes.
Right.
So I always get mad because I always think about how they were in Father MC video. They look like some church dudes.
Yeah,
that's why I be like, y'all, forget the image, because that image was given to them. That was not them. They were not no street dudes.
That was Diddy all the way.
That was Sean. Yeah. But that was
JR refuses to call him any other name but Sean.
Sean.
That was him. Would have given Jodeci the same Babyface, like I'll make love to you. You would have gave that to Jodeci. They'd have killed it too. So
yeah,
I don't.
They'd have put
but once again, right. But see, like I said, sometimes that whole "I make love to you" shit got on my nerves because became so repetitive that they got into the Whitney syndrome before Whitney started messing with Babyface. They got into the "didn't we almost have it all" syndrome. And you're listening to this song, you're like, man, it's such a waste of like vocal talent. Like, what are y'all?
I love the shade. Doing, I love it. It was so classy. I loved it, Keith.
But see, I can say that because Whitney hated.
She did.
See, this is the deal. This is the deal. Whitney hated that stuff, man. This is why she got with Babyface and got on the, and then the Wait and Exhale soundtrack and all that. Like this is what happened. But before that, all that stuff they started making her singing. Like, how can you take the heart out of an Isley Brothers song? They made her take the heart of
that hurt my feelings when I heard the version. I was like, they really took the soul out of this song. Like, I could not believe it.
Yeah. And it's almost impossible to do. Like, it's impossible. It's like trying to take the soul out of a James Brown cover. You can't do it. But they managed to do it. And they did it on purpose. And
Yeah. So I'm gonna pivot a little bit. And so as you see, the record I have behind me is a 12-inch of Downtown and Right Here, Human Nature is the B-side. And as you know, the 90s was the era of the remix. And we just wondered what a few of your favorite R&B remixes are. Like, just a few.
Oh wow, that's a really good question. Well, I'm gonna like really, really flip it, and the SWV remix with the Wu-Tang Clan, Anything, because they were on the original, but all of the sample stuff that you started hearing and all that stuff, that was like they added that later. And I think that song, that's like one of the first R&B songs in which they stayed R&B and the Wu-Tang Clan just managed to be Wu-Tang Clan on it too. Like they almost, it was almost like they brought their thing together and they stayed pat to what they were. And they did not try to do each other. And I think that's like one of the coolest things that you can hear. And I hate that I like this song because R. Kelly produced it, but the Janet Jackson Anytime Any Place song, the remix that he did for her on that was brilliant. And it's like every time I hear that song, when I hear it, I'm like, oh my God, like this is a great remix. This is a great, like, this is how a remix should be. It should be totally different from the original. It should not be, it should not have any semblance to it. And if it does have a semblance, maybe it's like to the beat, but it should be, so I hate that I like that song because that dude produced it. There's a lot of other great R&B remixes that you can go on. And on the low, as much as, stuff that we give, Sean Carter, Sean Diddy Holmes, he was the remix king with a lot of that stuff. He made a lot of decent R&B remixes.
People made it.
And well, yeah, but see, this is the thing. This is what I always say about that. In the world of R&B is a little different. You can get your Quincy Jones on. Quincy Jones wasn't playing the beats. He wasn't necessarily playing the piano and playing the bass. He orchestrated that shit.
Right.
And that's the same thing Diddy. I'm just saying, let's keep it real out here. That's what a producer really does. Beat making with hip hop, that's a whole nother aesthetic. But when it comes to R&B, you don't necessarily have to be that dude, or that woman doing that. I think there's a I want to say there's another remix that I remember with Faith Evans, but it's blanking out on me. I gotta think about it.
You know what I'm thinking about since you thought about Faith? I'm thinking actually about the Ali mix of Used to Love Me.
Yes. That's a great one.
Yes.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
I love that remix. Oh
God. Also, and I brought up the whole let me lift my man up. He's stalking me now. He wants to get up. Also, the Real Love remix with Biggie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the template for all remixes. Hip hop style remixes after that.
I can see that.
Because what they did was, man, that's a totally different song. That song has nothing to do with the original. They got the melody, but it's upbeat. It's got some chord changes, things going on, and then Biggie comes out of nowhere, and you know, it's like you wouldn't even expect that to happen in that way. Actually, that whole Mary J remix, 411 remix album was a landmark album. That album had everybody was like, oh man, we can do remixes like this. Oh, let's go for broke. That's the album that Mariah was listening to when she said, I want to make a remix for this the song that I have. What do you have, Diddy? What do? They take the Tom Tom Club song, they flip it, Genius of Love, flip that, put Old Dirty Bastard on it, and it's like, it's the wildest thing you ever heard at that time. It's a pop siren on such a hip hop oriented song, but it was still R&B, right? Like it still had an 80s R&B bop to it. Mm-hmm. So I really like that one too. That was a sneaky song. That was what they did was really, really sneaky with that joint.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they said when they was in Harlem, and I think Corey Rooney said they was at Sylvia's, and Mariah heard them blasting it out the hood, and it made her feel like she was accepted now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like she was like, yo, I'm one of them. She was like, yeah, I sold all the records, but I want the respect like Mary. And now with this, I got the respect. And that's why she was like, Fantasy Remix will always be her favorite, because it felt like she had that respect of who she wanted to respect from us anyway.
Yeah. It's an odd thing. It's like the label didn't want it to happen. Tommy Mottola damn sure didn't want it to happen.
Read her book. No, he didn't.
He did not want that. And once that success started happening from that song, it changed a lot of things. But Mary she's the alpha and omega with that. She's the person that showed everybody that if you could do a remix and it could be hip hop oriented, you can still keep the soul in it. You can still keep the blues in it. You can do that. But people went crazy with it. People started doing like weird remixes where they would just take outright songs from the 80s and the 70s and sing over, and it just didn't feel the same way, you know?
Right.
So one question I was originally going to ask you, and I'm actually going to flip it. I was originally just going to ask you what your favorite 90s R&B album is, but what I want to ask is, what is an R&B album from the 90s that you think was underrated or overlooked, that's really great, that doesn't get the love?
Oh, wow.
You was smart, you was kind, and you was important.
Keith, get your boy.
Man, that's a really good question.
That was good.
You know what? I always had a soft spot in my heart for those Tony albums, the early 90s ones.
My God.
I think those are, I don't think Tony gets the respect that they deserve.
They don't.
Don't make me go get a shot right now.
Yeah.
You speaking truth right now. Come on.
Yeah. Like they don't like that. What was the album that came out after the Feel Good album? The one with Anniversary on it.
Oh, you talking about Sons of Soul? Yes, that's my favorite. Yes,
that album is a classic album.
It is,
and it's like you're listening to it, and you know you really
you got it. We know you got it.
You can't even like you can't even like it's like it's not even on those greatest of lists that it should be. It's never on, like whenever I see those 90s albums, R&B albums or black albums or whatever, that album is rarely mentioned. And that deserves to be mentioned.
I feel like people don't even talk about the revival enough.
No, they don't.
Oh, they don't. They don't talk about that either.
No.
Because the revival is it came out at a strange time. It came out at a strange time when that album came out, because it was a successful album, but it was almost like they were seen as a novelty almost. You know, like, oh, you guys are doing throwback R&B, you know, and everybody else is doing, you know, put the hip hop beat and this and that. They would do sneaky things like they'll do like some real throwback R&B stuff, and then they'll put a rapper on it. You know, like they would like, that's their way of kind of playing the game, you know.
Right.
But yeah, like Raphael Sadiq, that dude is he's a master. He's so great.
Yes.
You know, so
great answer. Great answer.
Yeah. You said the Tonys, yes. Woo.
Okay. So we already had a fun, but we're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna play a little game.
Okay.
Okay. And it is something we tried on our live one day, and we didn't know how it was gonna go, and it actually ended up being one of the most fun things that people want to do again. So,
because she said if it went bad, she was gonna blame me that it went bad. So I'm glad it went good, because if it would have went bad, she'd have blamed me.
That's funny.
As always.
Okay.
That's funny.
Very simple game.
Okay.
So it's a word association game. So, but this one, because we've been talking about 90s R&B, the answers are going to be 90s R&B answers. So I have picked out some words, and I'm just going to say a word, and you tell me the first song that comes to mind, either with the word in it or it just makes you think of it. So, okay? So we're going to do 5. So the first one, talk.
Talk. Come and talk to me, probably.
Right. Beg.
Any Keith Sweat song. Anything from that era. Keith Sweat is the secret weapon of like when you see him live, because I've seen him live before at these package shows. And the one thing you see with Keith Sweat is how good his voice sounds, just like the record when he's out on stage. So anything that Keith Sweat did in the 90s, straight up begging music, you know, that's Keith Sweat. Anything. Any song, you can bring up any song from the 90s that he did after the 80s, you know?
Oh, Alise is definitely going to make me put this clip up, for sure.
Yes.
I love Keith Sweat.
She'll fight somebody in the face if you talk bad about this man.
Okay. There you go, telling me no again. The ultimate scummy, toxic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what type of song that is. That ain't even begging anymore. That's something else.
All right. Love.
What?
Love.
Love. You know, I really love, I really always think about, when I think of love songs, I always think about like those last great like Prince albums that came out in the early 90s, like the Diamonds and Pearls album or the Symbol album.
Yes.
I think you know, a song like, you know, Insatiable, or that's a really, really great song. I think of like love songs, like an old school classic, you know, straight up love song, like The Red Light Is On, you know, in the basement, that type of stuff, you know.
The music guru himself. Oh, what?
Dance.
Oh, wow. Remember the Time. That song always like makes me think of like a great dance record, R&B record. I think Michael and Teddy just worked so well together.
They really did.
Yeah. I think that Dangerous album is better than Bad, and I'll have a fight. I'll fight somebody over that anytime. You know what?
If I feel it's an underrated album, if I would have answered the same question, I actually would have said that album.
Me too.
I feel it's not respected as that is
It's not
to the core.
It's not because it's black as hell, and a lot of people still looked at a lot of purists still look at like New Jack Swing as like a niche R&B type of thing. So they don't really look at it like, you know, but man, Michael and Teddy was doing some shit on that album.
Yeah. And I feel like Michael really got you ready because again, he came out with the first single was Black and White, right?
Right.
So he kind of left you off where you left with him with Bad. So I'm like,
right. Yeah, what is this?
What is this album? I don't get it. He gave you what you want with Black and White. Who is it? And Give In to Me and all these type of stuff. And I'm like, y'all still clowning. I don't.
Yeah. But see, the irony of that is that I hated Black or White, but I love Give It to Me. Give In to Me. I love that. That to me.
I love Who Is It.
Yeah, I love Who Is It too.
Yeah, me too.
But I like that because, especially Given to Me, because when Michael would do his rock stuff, sometimes it come off like a hired gun type of thing, where he looked through the phone book and said, well, who's the rock person right now? Who's the rock dude? Okay, Billy Idol, I'll get his guitarist, Steve Stevens. There you go. Doop, doop, doop. Dirty Diana, which is kind of, it's okay, but it's a little corny. You know, Daniel, you know, he of course he did it with Eddie Van Halen with Beat It, which is, you know, that's a classic. But then he did it with Slash with Given to Me. And that worked best because it sounded like actual pain. It sounded like, you know, there's some shit going on that, you know. And Slash was just so sloppy and so bluesy and so raw with it that it made me believe the song. So yeah. But yeah, Remember the Time is, I always think about dancing. I think about the video. I think about being at Florida A&M like freshman year and people going crazy over it. You know, when the video would come on, it'd be in the room, and, you know, the tech TV room at a black college, and that shit comes on and everybody's doing the moves.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like that's a quintessential R&B 90's dance song. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't get as great as that.
Okay, one more. Soundtrack.
Oh wow. Ooh. See, this is tough because the 90's was like, you know, first thing comes to mind is R&B wise, Wait and Exhale soundtrack probably. That's kind of like that's probably the one where people kind of like, you know what, this is brilliant how they did this. It's brilliant how they put all of these great women vocalists and they just produced them and brought what made them great, each individually. Like if you ever wanted to hear, once again, you want to hear how Mary J. Blige would sound with Babyface, well, you hear it and it's great and it's worth the wait and it's like perfect and you're like, God damn, how come you guys can't make a whole album together? This is what you're thinking. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on, you know, even with Whitney, you know, what she was able to do. Yeah, man, that's some great stuff on that album. Tony, great stuff.
All right. He do not like that song.
You don't like the Tony song?
He like
damn, I was like, he was good, and then he got to Tony. I said, damn it.
So you don't like that one particular Tony song?
That one, that's it. I don't like Let It Flow. I just don't.
Oh no, we love some Tony. Listen,
we love to fight somebody because of Tony on Twitter.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Tony should be
separate us.
Tony should be bigger. I always think.
You think so?
I think she should be bigger, man. I think that her management or whoever handled her, you know, we all know she's a multi-platinum artist. We all know all of that stuff. But when I mean bigger, I'm talking about she should be along the lines of like, I'm not saying she's on the level, but I'm just saying vocally and what she was able to do. You know, she should be nipping at Whitney's heels a little bit. And for some reason she's not. for some reason they always try to make her out to be like some poor woman's version of Whitney or something, you know, like, and she's not that, man. She's like more smoky, more seductive, more, you know. And also, I know people don't really put Sade in the mix of R&B all the time. I know sometimes she can go different ways, but you can't go wrong with those Sade albums.
No.
Any of those Sade albums, man. Like anytime she put out anything, especially in the 90s, she was still killing it.
So speaking of Sade, this is a funny story. So one day I was talking to JR, and we were talking about something. He just kept going on. You know, I'm not the, you know, Sade's fine, but I'm not the biggest fan, blah, 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 blah. And so I asked him, I said, okay, that's fair. I said, what songs do you like? And then he said, and by the time we were done, he said like 10 or more songs. I said, I hate to break it to you.
My mom is gonna kill me.
Yeah, you're a Sade fan.
Yeah, it's like I hate.
My mom's gonna kill me because she does not like Sade at all. She was like, she didn't play it at the house. So I only knew, like, I guess the songs that we heard on the radio. Mm-hmm. So then when I got to college, I got the greatest hits that she got. Mm-hmm. And I listened to that. And then when I was like, Alise, yeah, I like this and I like this, she was like, you're a Sade fan. Yeah. Just admit it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
He was saying like some deep cuts too. So I was like, cute. You're a fan.
Yeah. Listen, she's the only artist of that whole so-called adult contemporary ilk that was cool. What I mean by that, is they tried to put her into that box. They tried to put her into the easy listening box a lot, you know, because she dabbled with jazz. But she was really cool because I think people really respected that she did her own thing in every era. Every Sade album sounds like a Sade album. It's like not something like she's just trying to be something that she's not.
Yeah.
So I think
I got one more question. One more question. Since they doing this corny verses, because I'm over it, to be honest with you. I'm over verses.
Wow.
I'm done with it. And I feel like, I think me and Alise was talking about this. Do you feel that Sade and Anita can go against each other?
They could. I think. See, I just, it's something that it would be interesting. I would like it.
Okay.
I would like to see it.
I would like to see it. I just think that Sade's firepower, because she came out so infrequently, but every time she came out, it was either good to great album.
Right.
It's a tough matchup. It's hard to beat Mystique. It's hard to beat someone that is just so otherworldly.
Yeah.
You know, like Anita is kind of like that auntie that is dope as hell.
Right.
That is so the cool auntie. And Sade is like some weird deity. You know? It's like a different type of battle. It would work though. But like the hip hop, you know, stand in me, I'm not even really interested in seeing any more R&B verses. I'm all about the hip hop verses. I want to see Public Enemy versus Run DMC.
That would be dope.
De La versus A Tribe Called Quest. You know, I want to see Rakim versus anybody. So yeah, I'm more to that. You know, yeah. So it's tough. It's tough out here, man.
Yeah, I'm done with the R&B verses. I'm done with it.
Because it's tough. It's tough to do R&B verses because it's like, unless you do like old school shit. Like I think it would be interesting to do Parliament versus Earth, Wind, and Fire. If you get the surviving members to do it, you know, but that's a different type of verses. It's kind of like the same. It's like Patty and Gladys.
Right.
To me, those are the verses that are worth going after the OG verses because it's like the deeper you get, it's harder for you to do 20 songs from a lot of the R&B acts from the last 20 years because I don't think a lot of them really have 20 songs.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, Usher could do it. Usher, I mean, what people really want to see, they really want to see like Usher and Mary J. Blige, but Mary doesn't want to do it. So
people want to see actually Mary and Mariah.
That would work too. I actually said that on Twitter. I said
I think I saw it. I said
that's the sneaky one that would be interesting.
That would be dope.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting one. People are like, because then you would get these a-holes on Twitter not understanding the power of Black culture, and they would say stuff like, well, Mary's not on Mariah's level. Why would Mariah do that? And I'm just trying to like explain to them, like, Mary is who Mariah wanted to secretly be. Okay. So once you figure that out, then you can figure out everything else. Right. But don't be like, she's got #1 pop hits. Like, pop don't matter in the verses, man. Nobody cares about pop hits in the verses. If you happen to go pop, that's great. The shit is, can you play it at a barbecue? Can you play it at a family function? Did we listen to it at the crib and dance in the living room? Mm-hmm. That's what a versus is. Versus is not, this song was #1 for 4 weeks. Nobody cares about that.
Did we hear it in the club in the 90s? Like that.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. Did we go crazy over it in the 90s? Yes,
exactly. When everybody went to the bar, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Right. Like that. Anything from that first Janet album, the Janet album, the single, with the title Janet, with That's the Way Love Goes and all that. Like, that's some great R&B music. That it was a time where everybody was able to still make like the upper echelon stars. Like the people that were like selling like 7-10 million copies were doing some hardcore R&B too. So it was an interesting time.
Yeah. Wow.
So guys, this was great. I had fun, man.
Yeah. So this is the time where we give you the floor and you tell us about anything you have going on, exciting projects, anything you want to talk about.
Beautiful. Well, I have this to pitch, to prop up. This Entertainment Weekly celebration of Black film. I did the editing on it. Was the lead editor on it. I wrote a couple of pieces on it. I wrote a Spike Lee piece, a piece on what exactly is a Black film anyway. A few other pieces in there about Purple Rain, a couple of things. And I'm really proud of this because this is the first type book that Entertainment Weekly has ever done on Black culture like this. Usually when you see books like this, you see like Star Wars or Seinfeld or something like that. But they decided to, let's do something on Black film. And it was really fun. It really meant a lot. Very heartfelt that they even trusted me to do something like this. So this is going to be out on stands February 5th. You can buy it at Amazon. You can buy it at your local newsstand, wherever, they sell stuff, and it's worth it, man. Support.
All right. That's so exciting. And I remember the time while you were working on it and how much work and heart and like how proud you were doing it. And so, I'm special. He sent me one of the books, and the writing is amazing.
We got some good writers on it, man. My man Jerry Barrow is one of them. Some good
the cultural lens is right where, like, it's all together. It's.
Thank you. I mean, we start from the silent film era, and then we go all the way to now. So, all the way up until, One Night in Miami is in the book. So, it's very, very, very inclusive with all of the different type of Black films that have been made over the years. So I highly suggest that people go out and get it.
Yes. So how can people find you?
You can find me at Twitter. Usually I'm there like yelling at people. At MurphDog, at MurphDog29. You can find some of my work. I just did a piece for The Athletic, as it is, like you're an athletic star. It's a sports site, but they're really, really blowing up. and a piece about whether or not we really still need the Super Bowl halftime show.
Not with the weekday doing it.
Well, yeah. See, I got my own weekend issues, but I understand them, but I still give them the side eye. It's both. I mean, I'm in both lanes. I forgot my criticism of him, but I know what he's trying to do. But I think what they did is they wanted to get someone that was really of the moment. Like, there's no hesitation about who The Weeknd is, right? He's not, a heritage act, and he's not so young that you'd be like, who is this person? They got somebody that's selling a shitload of records and has a little cred in this spot. If you're an R&B fan, you're probably looking at him like he's not really R&B. If you're a pop fan, you're looking at him like he's a pop artist. And then there are people that look at him like both. So he's like, he's a weird like amalgamation. So it's a weird thing. But basically what I'm saying is, in that piece, it might be time to like look, kind of rework it and figure out what really we're trying to do with a halftime show, because there's so many things that the NFL did with Kaepernick and all the stuff that happened that went down with Janet Jackson, and just a lot of stuff that went down. So yeah, hope people read that.
Okay. Yes, I love it.
Oh, and I got something with that's coming out for Hits Daily on Kamasi Washington, the jazz artist. I did a piece on him. So that's coming out. So yeah, I'm all over the place, man. You can find me writing about The Weeknd, Kamasi Washington, and talking about why we need a Run DMC, Public Enemy, verses. So I'm all over the place, man.
Yes. Well, we appreciate it.
Yes.
When you're going to do interviews, you were before we even decided it, you were the first person I wanted to talk to. Like, I asked you way before, and you was like, of course. And so I appreciate you for being a great friend, a great artist with the pen game, and being a dope, interesting person.
Thank you so much, man. You guys are great. And
that's my real best friend.
Yeah, he's the hog right over here. But no, seriously, thank you guys for giving me this platform and giving me a chance to really expound upon a whole era in which I really started to make my livelihood, like 96, 97. I really started to write professionally. So it was a interesting time. A lot of open bars and a lot of drunkery, a lot of bad things, good things. So it was really, really crazy. And the early 2000s was nuts too. So that's a whole nother story.
We might have to back that combo.
Yes.
That was the blur period for me. So that's a whole nother story.
So we can have you back. So
all right, guys. But seriously, thank you for this, man.
Yes. Mwah. And
be good.
All right. Peace out.
Peace.